Welcome to another episode of the Under the Pines podcast. I'm your host, Max Manuel. This episode is a re-upload from the conversation with Alain Robert in episode 6. It got censored on some platforms, so I uploaded a shorter version back then. And, we wanted to talk about free climbing, his exceptional mindset, career, and life, but we ended up talking about some geopolitics. And so now I'm re-uploading a longer version, but it's edited. So, I'm pretty certain this will stay online, and I hope you do get more value out of this episode because it now is more content. And without further ado, let's jump right in. Bonjour, Alain.
Bonjour. I don't even know your first name.
It's Max.
Oh, Max.
Yeah.
Bonjour, Max.
Yeah. So, to me, like, you are one of the greatest athletes of our time. And you've been climbing for more than 50 years. You've mastered the mindset game, especially after your comeback. It was, absolute destruction, pain, coma, 66% disability. And from that, you came back to climbing the first free solo, or 8B, I think it was, right?
Yeah. That's right. This the accident, the bad one, because I got few, but the very worst was in September 1982, and I was condemned to never climb back. They found me 66% disabled. And 9 years later, I was the first person free soloing 513D on rocks. So
absolutely crazy.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, perfect. We'll talk about that in more detail a bit later, I would say. But I heard you talk about never fitting in another interview, like also climbing, right? Like you said, you didn't fit in with the people from the south or with the people from the north. Was that also the same in your childhood? Like, did you have a feeling that you never fit in with the rest?
Well, looks like, as a young boy, I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of height. I guess I was afraid of falling and dying, of course. And then, I had the feeling that maybe it was just a dream, and being courageous maybe wasn't for me. But I believe that actually maybe I had within myself a lot of strength, a lot of willpower, willingness, and I have used it to overcome those fears. It's very interesting because most people, they think that, oh, this guy is born like Obelix, he fell in some magical potion, and he's having the genes and everything, but it's pure bullshit. I had nothing at all to become one day a climber, except that I had the willpower.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's people look for the easy explanation, right? And they don't want to do the work. So that's why they always assume that the other person is got a shortcut or whatever, right? The at the age of 11, I think, right? Like, you climbed the parents of your the house of your parents, right? That was kind of like a crucial change in your life, right?
Yeah, it is a turning point because it is when because although I had that dream, I saw a film, I got inspired by that film. It's a story of a plane who crashed near the top of Mont Blanc. Two brothers guide who climbed the mountain to seek survivors. And then when I saw that, I was completely in love and completely amazed. And later on, I have discovered, because I was in my parents' car, we were living in Lyon, in the middle of France. We were heading to Toulouse, and my dad decided to cut short to the mountains, and I was completely terrified by heights. I had the feeling that the car was falling any time, and that was going to be swallowed by the precipice. So it's kind of, my heart was kind of broken, and my dream was completely destroyed. It's only like later on, maybe a year later, that I was at school. There was some missing teachers. Then I went back far too early, and then realizing that I didn't have my key. at that time, my parents were living on a building on the 7th floor. And then, I don't know, I was in a mine too. And I did think, okay, let's try to do it. I knew it wasn't going to be really difficult because I have studied this building quite a lot, although I knew that most likely I was never going to climb it. But every now and then, I was like dreaming, watching, and it was just like going from one balustrade to another one. So like 7 times like that. So no big deal. But at least I had overcome something that was really crucial in my life because it is actually how everything has started.
Yeah. So and then you kind of grew up in an area where you didn't really have, like that much opportunity to learn climbing, right? And
It's not actually that there wasn't, because there was mountains, there was Vercors and Ardèche on both sides. But the problem is, back in the days, nobody was climbing.
mm,
People now, they are living in an area of time which everybody is more or less climbing. There is climbing walls, everything. Back in the days, there was no such a thing.
mm, yeah, true. Yeah, it was a different point
So
in time. Yeah.
people, they didn't even know that actually some people could climb. We didn't know about it.
Yeah, it
So
seems like it's out of
it's
this
kind of
world.
interesting to put it back into our old perspective, and not thinking like now, young generation, they think that internet, there was always
Yeah.
everybody had always a camera, a GoPro, a drone, all that shit, but it just didn't exist.
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, even my generation, I saw the switch from like, a mini disc or disc player, right, to the iPhone. Like that was the big change in time, I think. Interesting. Yeah, and then between 11 and then 15, 16, you started climbing with that other guy. Um,
Yeah, I became like a Boy Scout.
yeah,
And then, but the guy who was the chef. He felt also the same need as me to climb. So together, we have climbed like for not that long actually, like for 2 to 3 years.
okay. And then is that when you kind of went into, reading books and like learning about climbing? Was that the same time?
Oh yeah, yeah. Meaning we didn't have any experience, both. So we were learning, books like Bonatti, like De Maison, like Gaston Rebuffat, and actually this is how we have discovered a little bit how the thing was working. Because at the
Yeah.
beginning, you don't really know how it works. It's just like if nobody is teaching you, few years back, I was hardly knowing that it was even possible and to climb whatever. Then it's just like suddenly, yes, there is something, but there is you are just having a book, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, because this whole world opens up all of a sudden, right? And you don't really have anyone to ask how it works. Crazy stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely not. There was nothing that
Yeah,
I could have asked how it works, what shall we do, or no. We were completely on our own.
mm, crazy. And then in '78 was the first time you climbed Verdun. Was that the first kind of big one for you?
Among the big one, but
Yeah,
I was also climbing in Vercors, like Prel. It's like about 300 meters cliffs. Artian, it's like a bit more than 400 meters. So no, those were tall cliffs as well. Not as known and as famous as Verdun back in the days.
mm,
Meaning Verdun was a kind of mecca for the climber, starting from 1978.
okay. So you were basically amongst the first to kind of go through that whole phase. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, that was
The
like a few
yeah.
days ago. There was on the French TV. They made a documentary film, and this is the profit of climbing.
Okay.
So then there is guys like me. Like me, it's about free soloing, but also Patrick Edlinger, Patrick Béraud, you know, all those people who made the beginning of the climbing history. Well, the sport one, actually.
Yeah. And then at 19, you had 2 accidents, right? In the same year, basically.
Yeah, 1982 was a kind of a bad one. The first one, I fell from 15 meters, but quite a straightforward fall. So I had several fractures, but not really bad. So it took me like 6 or 7 months to recover, to come back to my previous level of difficulty. And then end of September 1982, that was a bad one. I fell from 20 meters at first. And the problem is I landed on my wrist on some limestone slabs at the bottom of the cliff. Then both wrists have completely exploded, tearing apart my skin, my flesh. I lost a lot of bones. Fortunately, my forearms did work as a shock breaker. So they have absorbed a lot of strength. So I have broken as well both elbows. I have destroyed one of the nerve that is still affecting me a lot, because those 2 fingers are not very working. There is not much sensation. And another nerve has damage. I don't have any strength if I'm trying to do a pinch with my right hand. So it's kind of complicated. And on the top of it, I was in a coma, I cracked my skull, and I started to develop a medical vertigo. So, you know, it's kind of a faith. But deep down, you know, what took me by surprise is that although it took quite a long time, and although I was condemned that I was never going to be able to climb back, I got expertised by the social security system, and they found out that I was 66% disabled, and they said that climbing was completely over. And at the beginning, well, I was just thinking, could it be possible? And but deep down, I was knowing, well, it doesn't matter, because even though I cannot climb back difficult things, maybe at least I'll be able to climb back, even though if it's only some easy stuff, as easy as climbing a ladder, at least I'll do that.
Yeah. Crazy story. I mean, how was that mentally for you back then? Were you like deep down, you know, like almost like kind of depressed because like your dream burst at this moment, or were you pretty quickly to kind of climb out of that hole?
No, actually, I quickly bounced back. Although I was still, I got hospitalized for like 2 months, a bit more than 2 months. I have been operated, but the operation was more to salvage my hand, because otherwise I was going to be amputated, because I had a very bad infection. But the surgeon back in the days, he told me, because we became friends, and he said there was nothing I could do, because I couldn't fix your wrist, because the problem back in the days, there was no prothesis for your joints and that kind of stuff, and my both wrists were completely cramped. He was comparing it as scrambled eggs, and he said there is nothing I can do, because he said I cannot fix your hands. How do you want me to make some nails or some plates or whatsoever? On what? There is nothing. Everything is destroyed.
Crazy, like cornflakes. Crazy
Somehow.
stuff. Yeah. So basically, you already had that mental strength to kind of focus on the positive, like even at that age.
I would say so, and somehow it's interesting, because, but it's not that surprising. You know why? Because if finally this little boy who was terrified in his dad car did manage one day to climb, it shows that I was not going to give up.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Because you remembered that moment, right?
I knew because
Yeah.
I know because I was recalling, when I was at the hospital, and I was recalling from the beginning and all the way now, as I was lying on a bed completely destroyed without being able to walk and using my arms. Then deep down, I already knew that for me it wouldn't be over. I just didn't know exactly what I would be able to do, but I knew it was not over for sure.
Yeah, super interesting. The how was that financially for you back then? Like, because did you have sponsors already, or like, or was that unthinkable at the time?
I had only a material, but in France, when you're having such a bad accident, the social security system is covering your expenses. Meaning, with such a bad accident, I got like maybe 3 years without having to work and being fully paid.
Yeah.
So, money was not an issue. And I was discussing with the surgeon, which along the way became my friend, and he was completely understanding, and he was completely, um, he was amazed because he just thought that how on earth you can climb back? How on earth it's possible?
Yeah. Well, that's the remarkable thing, like that's the heart of an athlete. Like if you know, right, deep down what you want to do, it doesn't matter like what the obstacle is. You will find a way.
Yeah, no, deep down, there is plenty of people who have experienced very bad accident or very
Sure.
bad disease, and surprisingly, they are now doing amazing stuff.
Yeah.
More like doctors, they are very. Everything is based on the average, and also what they are learning when they are doing university. They are not learning about guys like me. They are learning about the average people. So I remember because I met many surgeons, and my favorite one, the one who became my friend, was really the top one, specialized on hand surgery. Sometimes, even though I had like 15 stitches, he was telling me, it's okay, you can climb. It's not going to break it. But if I was telling that to another surgeon, he was like, what this surgeon told you is completely wrong and crazy.
Yeah.
Except that the one I am telling you, he was a top surgeon and specialized on hand surgery, not a normal osteopath who is only doing basics. So,
Yeah. True.
but
Yeah, that's a problem of the
it
system.
shows that even among doctors, they're having a different point of view. We saw it during the COVID. The COVID is very interesting because all of those top epidemiologists and everything, they knew exactly what they had to do, but the basic doctors and those stupid idiots who were ministers, they were exactly stating the opposite, and until the people they got completely lost
Yeah. Yeah. True.
with the mainstream medias lying on a daily basis. Then people they got completely fooled by the machine.
Yeah. It's if you don't understand the topics in depth, you can easily be fooled, right? It's always.
I was, now Professor Raoult is back on track. I think he's retired, but now he's again invited because he just wrote a book, and he's explaining how things became completely crazy, and how everything went completely under control, mainly because of the media. The medias, they are the one who fracked billions of people. Well, not any countries. Like me, I am in Indonesia, in Bali. Nobody really care about COVID. I never wore a mask when I was here.
Yeah. You're still alive.
I'm still alive, yeah. I was just thinking, well, fact, with all the accident I have had, all the fight I have led to come back, then I would be a little bit surprised if a flu was killing me. So I took it this way, and I was just thinking, and overall, and even though if I die, I'm not going to be living like a zombie, wearing a mask, walking like an idiot, and looking at my neighbor because he's coughing and shitting in my pants.
Crazy times. That's all I can say. I mean, it's really mind-boggling.
It is backwards, but it could come back. Because, finally, now we are realizing, maybe not everyone, but we have been really manipulated by the governments and by the medias, by the mainstream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people realize it, but they still don't. They don't want to admit it to themselves, right? Like they kind of push it to the side, and they want to keep it there. And as you said, maybe there's something else coming, and then it's going to be very similar.
Entirely possible. There is now already 2 years. I became very interested in independent journalism. Then I'm discovering a lot of things on a regular basis. And I am horrified by all the lies people keep on repeating us. And most people, they don't have time to check, on independent media. They are watching the mainstream a little bit, they are coming from hard work. And so they're on the TV, they are listening like few minutes, then they are bombarded by false allegation. And then this is what they grab.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's how it's built, right? Like you're not supposed to have the time to think about these kind of topics, right? Like you're supposed to be at work.
Exactly. So even if people they don't want it, they are still influenced by something. They are, from the moment you're on the TV, you are going to receive some information. And if you're on the TV, it's because somehow you want to know what is happening. So meaning people, they don't take it as people are going to lie. They take it as, okay, I on the TV, those people, obviously, they are journalists. They are paid to tell us what is happening. So they have no reason to think that they are receiving false information.
Yeah. It's because, I mean, I remember the stuff we learned in history was also, not the actual stuff that happened, right? Like it's
a lot,
even
lot.
even those books that we were taught, they're already fabricated. So that's how you grow up, right? Like if you don't have these events like I had, where that are kind of eye opening, where you start to think about what's going on in the background, like all that kind of stuff, So for me, that happened super early.
Now that they start to declassify some archives, everybody knows about the Iraq War in 2003, that it was based on the lies, like Colin Powell brandishing a fuel with anthrax, and actually it was a talcum powder inside it. But they had to go, even though there was no mass destruction weapons in Iraq, they wanted to do a war.
Yeah, it came out and it's still not talked about.
So this is the way it is, and this is what is happening now with Putin and Ukraine through a proxy United States and NATO. So member of NATO, this is pretty much the whole of Europe. So, and it's kind of heavy.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been very similar throughout history.
No, at the end of the day, yes, it's more like nowadays we are having choices. We can know what is happening, but a long time ago there was no TV station. There was no way to know what was happening. I guess during Alexander the Great or whoever, the same shit was happening, except that nobody was printing a journal or taking a pictures, or it just didn't exist.
Yeah, and the winner shapes the information, right? So
hey, you can shape it, the way you feel like it's good for your people.
yeah, of
If
course.
you want to get, okay, let's say you are a chef of a tribe. If you want to get your people following you, you need to tell them a story that is working. If you are telling them, oh, they are good guys, but that doesn't matter, we're gonna kill them all, they may not like it. If you are telling them, oh, no, they are bad guys, they are stealing our horses, then you are motivating people to say, yeah, they are the bad guy, actually.
Yeah, it's a basic brainwash, right? Like you need it to control the masses, or like as you said, your tribes or whatever.
Like the Amerindian genocide, and the tricky way they have used it for exterminating people, killing all of those also buffaloes, um, bringing some disease among the Indian people who died by thousands and thousands. So it's a pure genocide, and unfortunately, not so many people are remembering about it.
No,
They just push it aside. Or Obama, who is a black president, was praising Martin Luther King. He didn't say a fucking word during his 2 mandates about the Amerindian genocide.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
For me, it's shameful.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the information is out there now and it's accessible, and everybody can put some time into that and get that information that they actually want to have, and like that they want to learn about. And but nobody, I mean, not nobody, but like 95% of people still don't do it. So
No,
that kind
because
of
the problem is people, they do not realize that the machine is very sophisticated.
yeah.
All of those medias belongs to the richest guy in the world, and they are the one who are also financing.
Yeah, of course.
Once you have understood that, then you are living with tons of lies on a daily basis, and without much that we can do.
Yeah, it's they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them, right? Like it's always been the same thing.
If you knew the number of people that I am listening, like Jeffrey Sachs, like John Mearsheimer, like Jacques Beau, all those people, they are very famous professor. They have been ex-colonel. They are guys. They are not like the stupid TV host who is only to repeat lies.
That's one of the reasons why I also started this podcast. You're basically one of my first 10 guests, and the reason is, like, I think we should talk more about these kind of topics. Like, I knew that you had opinions about that kind of stuff, but I mean, I wasn't planning on taking the conversation there, but now we're already here, right? So, but I think that's what we need.
You know how everything happened? It's because on the very first day of Russia invading Ukraine, I thought that Vladimir Putin was the bad guy. Then, I don't know, throughout the discussion, I put on my post, I was really condemning Putin. And then I received plenty of messages from Eastern Ukrainian from the Donbass.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me that I should be revising my history and everything. Then I was kind of perplexed. I was just wondering what these guys they are talking about. And then later on, I found out that actually in 2014 there was a coup d'état, that Yanukovych has been ousted and replaced by Ukrainian president pro-Western.
Yeah.
Back in the days, because Odessa, Russia has always had their naval base in Crimea.
Yeah.
So suddenly they were fucked up, meaning now that there was no more Viktor Yanukovych who wanted the Ukraine to be a neutral country. They had to annex Crimea, and it all started like that.
Was
And then after that,
was that the first time you thought about these things, like in depth?
yeah.
Okay.
It's like
Only recently.
coming to 2 years ago. It's not
Wow.
it's not that old.
Interesting. Yeah.
Although during the COVID, I was listening a lot, Professor Raoult, and I knew he was telling the truth.
Mm.
And I knew that people were lying to us, like Olivier Véran, who was the health minister, and many more. They were lying to us openly, but meaning it started around 2020.
Mm. I think those couple of years were a proper catalyst in that sense. Like people that kind of always felt there was something going on. I think it turned them into like doing research and actually talking about these topics. So yeah, that's definitely a positive, out of those couple years.
I saw what Elon Musk did by buying back Twitter. So somehow, when you see that the guy Tucker Carlson is having a show on X, and he's brilliant. This guy is spilling the truth, and that's why actually he got fired from Fox News. Although he was the most brilliant, he was hosting TV news. He had a huge audience, but I guess some member in Washington D.C. They asked Fox that they needed to get rid of this troublemaker.
Yeah. There's a lot of these, so-called opposition people, but I would always be careful with, that type of information, because these stories they seem very fabricated to me a lot of times, right? Like, yeah, he got kicked out of here. Now he's the opposing side. He's the good guy. It's always we have to take it with a grain of salt.
They can do a lot of false things, and
yeah.
Like with Ukraine and Russia, we saw, but they were doing it long time ago.
Yeah, of course.
Recently, I was remembering, in '91, when Bush went into Kuwait, and then they were filming a woman, and she was pretending that a lot of babies got kidnapped and everything, and it was all lies. It was the daughter of the ambassador, and she was an actress. So she made cry everyone, but actually based on lies.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos with the same people. Let's keep it at that.
The good thing is that a lot of things were also classified back in the days. Now they start to declassify a lot of documents, so there is a lot of things that people now they can have an eye if they want. Because if you look at it, whenever you are watching mainstream, they are never working with sources. When you are watching independent media, they are always showing you their sources. They are always telling you, go on this website from the Minister of Defense. You can find very good sources. As the one on the mainstream, they're only reading some prompters, and they are selling you lies.
Yeah, the thing is, it's these type of topics, they're very complex, and you have to start at the beginning to understand them, right? Like, you have to understand what a false flag is. You have to understand how states were founded. You have to understand what money is. You have to understand how the oil trade works, right? Like, if you don't understand these basics, then you will never understand what goes on.
Exactly, because you are right. Most of those wars and everything, they are geopolitical.
Exactly.
It's all about hydrocarbon. So otherwise, they don't care. They don't have any reason.
Yeah. For me, it started super early, when I was like 13, 14, because my mother, she's here from Croatia, and I saw like the whole war situation, right? Like I saw my family suffering from that. Like a lot of stuff got destroyed, taken away. So I'm like, okay. Then I had school, right? I got history lessons in Germany, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't add up, right? Like the teacher's telling me one thing, but the what actually happens is like completely something else. So then I started reading about that stuff, and then I went to geopolitics, and I went down the rabbit hole,
You
which was
you know
maybe also maybe a bit too early, right?
now
But
now
yeah,
we start finally to understand actually the whole plan from United States was to Putin and Russia into provinces. So that was always the goal.
same with
Because
Yugoslavia. That's
if
why it got
Yugoslavia is the same. That's why,
exactly.
when you give a Nobel Peace Prize to Obama, it's more than a shame. It's
Yeah, yeah. I mean that prize is interesting for sure.
I was listening, how many times I heard Madeleine Albright stating that the 500,000 kids and civilians who died in Iraq, and she said, well, for the greater good, it's worth it. Who can say that?
Yeah, the thing is, we just have to listen closely and have open ears, and then everyone will tell you what their understanding of the world is, and how they view the world, and how they view humans, and what they think is best for humans. We just have to listen closely, and because they say it at some point. They all say it, right? And that's why I'm saying, like, when people say, yeah, well, you have these strong opinions about this and that, I'm like, yeah, because I just listen. I look at what they do, I look at what their action is, and then I have my opinion about that, right? And that's a lot of people part ways with that. Like in the end, you're not you don't really have a lot of people around you when you understand these type of topics, but I'm fine with that.
The problem is then we are becoming the guy who are conspiring.
Yeah,
So although those who are they are the one who are the head of the state,
exactly.
and
I'm just
the medias as well. The medias, maybe the medias. This is not that they want to tell you shit. This is what they need to tell to the people. They are not even thinking twice. They know, they are reading. Okay, this is what I need to read. Blah blah blah, and that's it.
yeah, that's what it is. So I don't know, did you lose a lot of friends now, like since those last 2 years?
No, not really actually.
Yeah, because you already just had a few around you, or were they all like
Well,
basically have the same opinion?
some of them, yes, because some of them they're not gonna they're not gonna change their mind.
Yeah.
So for sure, politics, it's very conflictual. If you
Mm.
want to lose a friend, it's a terrain that is not very easy.
Yeah, I mean, I have this kind of new rule. If I meet someone, if I wouldn't leave my son with them, for half an hour or an hour at least, then I'm not gonna invest any more time in that relationship on a deep level, right? And so when you have someone that actually could have all the information and process all the information, and they don't want to do that, right? That's kind of like a cowardice behavior for me, and that's definitely not someone I would leave my child with, right? Because I know
No,
if
but
that's
I
you know
understand. All of us, we need at some point to make sacrifices. You
yeah,
know, although I lost it, but my first sponsor, we started working together in 1996, and I lost it not really long ago. Except that one day we have had a discussion, and it took him like 2 months, and he sent me a long WhatsApp and telling me that he was completely horrified by my
yeah,
political opinions and everything. So
yeah. Well, that's what they do well. They know how to separate people, and put us into two. on two kind of different opposing sides, and because it's easier for them, right, to push through.
No, yeah, well, like my mom, she's 87.
Yeah.
She will never change her mind about the COVID. She's uh, she's persuaded that there was absolutely no lies, that the people who were not vaccinated, they were like a human bombs walking next to her, and she's never gonna change her mind.
Yeah. But I don't think we should change like old people's minds that much. Like, I think it's already done. Like, I also have a grandma, she's around 90, and it's impossible, that they have that same thing running. It's like the
No,
same
but
cassette,
me too. With
yeah,
my
yeah.
mom, I never raised my voice
No, no,
because
yeah. I
she was
wasn't
telling
suggesting
me,
that.
but
Yeah, yeah.
she was telling me, but Emmanuel Macron, the French president, he said it on TV. We need to wear masks. We are at war.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy how much trust they have in the system, right? Like, the generation of my father, they're like 10 years older than you, maybe, and it's the same thing. A lot of these friends they have, and their acquaintances, they also just kind of started thinking about these topics recently. Like that, it never crossed their mind that it's wrong to pay 50% tax in Germany or in France, right? Like, it's almost the same personal tax, and like all that kind of stuff. Like, it was just normal. Like, you do that, like you go to, you finish university, you finish school, you go work, you pay your taxes, you don't question anything, right? That's how it worked, and that's how they lived their life, most of their life. And I think maybe 3% kind of
Yeah, but
have a different thought process, right?
Max, when you see that Rothschild, Rockefeller, they are the one who created some top university in the world.
Yeah, of course.
So those are the richest families in the world. So meaning somehow they are doing a lot of bad things. They are controlling your mind by teaching you something that is false. Uh, so
The school system that the United States also have, that Rockefeller also pulled over from Nazi Germany, right? It's clear, right? Like, it was tested, and it hasn't changed since 80 years or whatever, right? Like, it's crazy, and people still
no,
don't understand.
the problem is you go in such a top university and you get taught some lies.
Yeah.
So somehow it's kind of terrible.
That's crazy stuff. How do you how does it work with your children? Do you talk about these topics?
Well, my children from France, they are not very receptive for that kind of topics.
Yeah.
My little boy, 9 years old, he has kind of understood that actually Putin and Zelensky was more like the evil than Vladimir Putin, but uh, well, he's 9 years old, meaning maybe if I'm talking to him about it today, he has already forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, which should be good. He should have, It's better if they
No,
just
well,
play at that age. Yeah.
when you saw about Ukraine, about all of those banderists who are they are having as an idol Stepan Bandera. He's having his statue in Ukraine. It's a holiday and everything. It's like celebrating Adolf in Germany, and
Crazy.
and people they don't mind. It's normal.
Yeah, that's that's something that I also like to talk about quite often, because I think it's important, like how children are formed, right? Like,
Yeah, because we are born from parents, and my parents, they were never ever going to challenge the system. So it means to get out of the system, it's difficult because this is what you get taught, and not everyone is willing to blow it off and to say actually pretty much everything that has been taught is lies.
Yeah. I call it programming, right? Like it's
Yeah,
programming
so
in
no,
your first 7 years.
exactly. You are perfectly right. We are not born with all of those capacities that we are exploiting now. We got it along the way. So if it was the truth, then we got the truth. If it was lies, then we got lies.
Yeah. That's the thing, that's why where we have to be careful with the children, I think, and that's why I hope that conversations like this can kind of maybe sometimes be eye-opening.
No,
I'm
that's interesting because definitely, it's very surprising because I didn't know that we were going to speak about such a sensitive topic.
Yeah, me
So
neither.
at least this is the advantage that we are having with the podcast. There is
Yeah.
a lot more freedom than if you're invited on even on Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
you need to zip it.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I for sure I probably cannot upload this on YouTube. That's for
A
sure.
bit
But on YouTube,
of a
I cannot. Yeah.
well, maybe it should work on YouTube, no? Or sensitive content.
A little bit difficult. Yeah. But
Where
we'll
you
see.
can download it? Are you using Rumble?
Not yet. But usually I upload on YouTube and Spotify.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
But
Max, what we can do? Okay, today we have done this one, and we can redo another one soon, which it will be more focused on climbing.
okay, perfect.
Which
So,
because at the beginning that was the purpose. Although I
yeah.
spoke a little bit, I think the first 10 minutes
Yeah.
we were speaking about climbing.
Yeah, definitely. We have about 15 minutes of regular topic, and then we digressed into the real life problems and the world problems. Yeah.
No, but because I never know. Me, I am very transparent, so automatically it came along the way that I could talk with you easily about things that, for most of the people, very sensitive topics.
Yeah.
But obviously, for you, that was kind of normal chit-chatting about it. Then I have
Yeah. I mean,
something
it's
good.
it's for me it's normal to talk about this, but it's not normal to talk about it publicly, right? Like it's definitely something new, and
Oh
I
yeah, not
think
meaning not yet, not yet. You are right. You are right.
yeah. I
Meaning
mean, I think no, I'm not. I'm just saying like it's normal for me to talk about this because I talk about this stuff, with my family and my friends, but I think it's definitely important we have to talk about these type of topics because I think if we don't, who's going to talk about it?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And at the end of the day, does it change something? I'm not so
Not
sure.
well, maybe it does in a
It
positive way.
it it may in a longer future, but at the moment,
Yeah,
people they are still formatted and narrow-minded.
yeah.
When it comes to certain topics, they're not gonna change their mind. They're not gonna discuss.
No,
When I
but
when I was climbing in
the next
Paris,
generation,
yeah, maybe one or
you
two
know,
generation down the road,
yeah,
people may start to evolve in a good way. But at the moment, when I climbed in November, I had this statement in front of the medias. I was condemning that there was no ceasefire in between Israel and Palestine, and a lot of people criticized me for that. So for them, it was fine.
yeah. It's always interesting how the one narrative can stop overnight, right, and then the new one
Oh,
starts.
let me tell you something because I still remember vividly
Yeah,
the moment the Vladimir Putin went into Ukraine. the COVID was gone. Finished.
Yeah, it disappeared.
We have had 2 years of COVID every day, relentlessly, 24 hours a day, brainwashed, all from toe all the way to the top of the head, and suddenly finished. COVID was gone.
Yeah, it was a strong wind. It pushed everything away. It was a super strong wind that night. Yeah, it's crazy. But that's how it works, That's how it works.
Yeah, but we were not used to it that it takes so long. Like before, we know that every day there is something new that is replacing what was a big problem yesterday. But suddenly with the COVID, it was a 2 years story non-stop. Then the war in between Russia and Ukraine is the same for almost a year and a half until there was this attack from the on Israel. But one story is chasing another one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even follow the news anymore. I just I've got a couple outlets that I consume at a certain point in time. Maybe not even every week, because I used to read a lot all the time. And if you go too deep on that kind of stuff all the time, it's not healthy for you. Especially not on a daily basis. Like, it takes away your focus from the positive side of things, right?
And you are right. Also, me, I have also slowed down a little bit, but I am still, that there is still some guys like I told you, Jeffrey Sachs. He's a professor at the Columbia University. He's not a kiddo. He's 72. He has been advisor for the White House. He has been. He was advising Gorbachev, so he can quickly tell you the story. NATO was not, when they dismantled USSR, NATO was not supposed to move 1 inch towards eastern countries. So instead, there is like maybe 20 countries now. So all along until Russia borders. So I can understand.
Well, the narrative is Russia moved towards us, right?
No way, Vladimir Putin, he want to rebuild the Russian Empire is bullshit, bullshit. And the funny thing, I met Putin in 2011. I climbed the Moscow University for the Moscow anniversary, and then there was Vladimir Putin and Medvedev. Medvedev actually was the president back in the days. Although he was more like the one. It was more like a maneuver for Putin to be re-elected after, but kind of interesting. But I never ever thought that. I didn't know, we only, he was among the top VIPs, so we drank some vodka, but he was just like a nice guy. Like, I met Tony Blair. Tony Blair is not a good guy. He's a liar, like W. Bush and everything, responsible for a lot of people. But the guy itself is a nice guy. He's funny guy. He's intelligent. He's a funny guy, Tony Blair.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, who's pulling the strings, right? And who is just there to have the cameras on them,
Most likely, yeah. It's a lot more complicated than even only judging those people. There is an elite that we are not really seeing who are doing a lot of harm.
It doesn't really matter who's in the office. That's for sure.
No, exactly. I agree on that.
That's for sure.
And Max, I am sorry, but my phone is nearly dead.
Yeah, that's good. Then should we wrap it for today? We can do another one, but let's do another one, and I'll be happy to whenever you have the time. Talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, cheers, my friend.
Right. Ciao, ciao. Thank you for watching this episode to the end. If you got any value out of it, I'd love to invite you to send it to a friend, leave a review or a thumbs up as well. This will help the channel a lot. I thank you for that. And I sincerely hope I'll see you on the next one.